Hey guys, tonight we step inside the low timber-framed forge of a medieval blacksmith. The walls are soot-streaked. The air tastes of iron ash and old sweat. Outside the village is still dark. Cocks have not crowed yet. You stir awake on a straw-stuffed pallet, bones, aching shoulders already tense. The fire from last night has gone cold. Your breath fogs in the air. You wrap your rough wool tunic tighter and shuffle toward the forge hearth. 1 step, 2 steps, the cold bites harder. You strike a flint again and again, coaxing a spark onto dry bark. It catches. You blow softly. The ember glows. You are a blacksmith. You have no choice. You live here in a stone hut attached to your workspace. You sleep among tongs, sledges, ingots, and anvils. Every morning starts the same stoke. The coals pump the bellows, heat the iron. You are never rested. You are always sore. Your hands are cracked and calloused fingertips blackened from years of singeing skin on hot tools. You carry the weight of your trade in every joint. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Let me know in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You reach for the bellows. They are leather sacks nailed to wood arms. You press slowly. The coals flicker red, then orange, then white hot. Heat licks your face. The forge roars. The first task is warming a bar of pig iron, a dull, heavy rod you'll shape into a door hinge. The metal takes time. As it glows, you plan your next move. A hammer in your right hand, tongs in your left. Grip, lift, strike. Hammer fall echoes across the village. Dogs bark. The baker will be stirring his oven. Someone's ox will moo. And your life will continue like it always has. One clang at a time. One step closer to deafness. Your apron hangs heavy over your shoulders. It smells of sweat, charcoal, and scorched wool. On your feet, wooden clogs with leather tops. They do little to soften the cobbled floor. Under your apron is a linen undershirt stiff with soot. You have not bathed in days. Water is fetched in pails warmed over coals poured into a barrel. You bathe when business allows, which it rarely does. The morning passes in a blur of heat and iron. A farmer's boy stops by. He's broken a plowshare. You nod, toss it beside the others. You'll fix it after noon. Another man arrives, this one with a bent sword. A foot soldier maybe, or a bandit. You do not ask. You take the weapon note the cracked fuller and quote a price. He scowls, but leaves. They always do. They always come back. You haven't eaten yet. You chew dried bread from last night. No time to stew porridge. The fire won't wait. The iron cools too fast. You keep chewing while you hammer. A chip of crust falls into the fire. It sizzles and vanishes. By mid-morning, the first hinge is done. You quench it in the barrel. The steam smells metallic. You set it aside and begin the second. It is slower work. Your shoulders burn. Your right elbow aches from an old strain. You once slipped on the wet forge floor and fell. The swelling lasted weeks. You worked through it anyway. Outside, the sun rises higher. Light filters through the warped window pane. You squint, then turn away. The forge is a world of shadow and fire. Bright daylight means little here. Your fingers are not nimble. They are thick, strong, clumsy. You have no finesse. You don't need it. Your job is power and rhythm, but you miss the days when your hands moved faster. Age comes early in this trade. You are 35 but feel 60. You wipe sweat with your forearm. Your skin smears with soot. A few gray hairs fall loose from under your hood. Your beard is full but ragged. You trim it with your knife when it gets caught in your collar. No time for style. The second hinge is done. You carry both out to the stoop to cool. You sit on a stone bench. The village is stirring. Chickens peck the road. A boy herds sheep past your door. You nod. He does not nod back. Your ears ring. Always. It started 3 winters ago. One morning you noticed the bellows made a high whine, but no one else heard it. You hear it still. At night, in the woods, when the forge is quiet. You remember your father's forge. He died young, lung rot. You were 12. You took over. You ruined your hands before you knew how to hold a hammer properly. You made a dozen bad nails before one held. Now you can forge a hinge blindfolded. You sometimes do just to pass the time. A blackbird lands on the well nearby. It pecks at a scrap of barley. You watch, unmoving. The moment passes. You rise. Back to work. Inside the fire still burns. You shift a bar of iron into the coals. Another hinge order. You wonder idly what life would be like without the forge, but you stop. There's no point wondering. There is only this: iron, flame, sweat, sleep, repeat. You dream sometimes of leaving. But where would you go? You cannot read. You cannot count past 20 unless you use your fingers. You know iron. That is all. You know the smell of burned flesh, the weight of a sledge, the sound of a nail splitting wood. You light a second lantern. The shadows deepen. The walls gleam with heat haze. You remove your apron and stretch. Your back pops. You rub your neck. A black line of soot transfers to your hand. You don't bother wiping it away. Tomorrow will be the same. You will wake in the dark. Stoke the fire. Hammer the iron. Count the days by the hinges on the wall. But for now you let the fire die a little. You stare into it. Your eyes grow heavy. Historians still argue whether medieval smiths were considered craftsmen or mere laborers. You don't care. You just want one night without smoke in your lungs. The next morning begins before it should. You lie awake before dawn, shoulders pinned by invisible weights. Your arms ache from yesterday's work. Your knees click when you shift. You try not to groan. It wastes breath. A mouse scurries along the beams above. You hear it, barely over the low ringing in your ears. You reach for your tunic. It's still damp with yesterday's sweat. You light the coals again. The routine never changes. Bellows first. Sparks dance. Heat blooms. You feed the flames with more charcoal. The air thickens immediately. You blink against the smoke. Your eyes sting. The back of your throat itches. You swallow and get to work. Today's task is a full dozen horseshoes. A local noble is traveling soon. His steward brought 4 tired-looking draft horses last week. They need fresh shoes. You didn't ask where they were going. You don't care. You only know you have to finish before market day. The anvil waits like an old friend. Its surface is dented worn, but reliable. You take the first bar of iron glowing like a sunrise and center it with tongs. Then the hammer begins to fall. Each strike jolts your entire arm. Your elbow locks. Your shoulder tenses. Your back shifts slightly with every blow. The shoes must be flat, even curled just so. You can't afford a mistake. If a shoe cracks in use, the steward blames you. If the horse stumbles, they may come back angry. You've seen smiths beaten for poor work. You pause after the first shoe. Steam rises from the water barrel as you quench it. You stretch your neck. A clicking sound echoes from your spine. You lift the second bar of iron. There's no rest between. You've learned over years how to rotate between limbs, hammer in your left when the right goes numb. Swap feet when one begins to throb. But some days like this one, nothing helps. You fight the metal with everything you have, and it still wins a little. At mid-morning, your thumb splits open. Just a thin tear at the pad, but deep enough. You wrap it in a cloth scrap blackened with old oil. You don't stop. There's no time. You remember your grandfather's stories told in slow, gravelly tones. How he broke his arm during a smithing contest. Still finished the blade, came in second. You always suspected he lied about the contest. But the arm did heal crooked. Your current hammer weighs 2 pounds. It used to be 4, but your wrists couldn't take it anymore. Lighter hammers mean more strikes. More strikes mean longer days. As you finish the 5th shoe, the door creaks. A child enters. Dirt on his face. One tooth missing. He carries a broken rake. His mother sent him. You nod, take it without a word. Add it to the pile near the corner. There are 8 tools waiting there. You don't remember who owns which. You step outside for a breath. The sky is overcast, damp. Your nostrils fill with smoke and iron even out here. You look at your hands. Calloused, pitted, flecked with burn scars. You've forgotten what they looked like clean. Your nails are black at the edges. You've seen monks with smoother writing boards. Back inside, the forge glares at you. Time to return. You reach for another bar, but the edge of your sleeve catches fire from a stray coal. You pat it out fast. No panic, just annoyance. That's the 3rd time this month. You wonder briefly if a nobleman ever sets himself on fire making a chandelier. Probably not. His chandeliers come from someone like you. But you'll never see his manner. There's a saying among smiths, the anvil outlives the hand. You think about that while shaping the 6th shoe. You feel the truth in your wrist bones. Lunch passes without food. You forgot to soak beans. Your stomach growls. You ignore it. Hunger is easier than a broken schedule. Quirkier bits of smithing lore float through your mind. You once heard that Scandinavian smiths in the far north sang to their metal to make it stronger. You've never tried, but you do grunt with every hammer fall. Maybe that counts. By the 8th shoe, your hands start to cramp. You rotate them, massage your knuckles. It doesn't help. You keep going. You've learned pain is like the forge fire. It only roars louder if you give it more air. Outside, a rooster crows late. You think it's mocking you. You almost smile. Almost. The floor beneath you is a mix of ash charcoal and iron flakes. Every footstep grits. Your clogs don't absorb it. Your knees feel each shift in terrain. You've slipped more times than you care to count. Once into the quenching barrel. That was cold. You didn't laugh. You look at the ceiling, wooden beams blackened from smoke. One has a crack. It hasn't widened in 3 years. You hope it holds another 10. A fringe theory floats through your memory. A traveling tinker once told you the Romans invented a type of iron stronger than yours. Lost to time. Maybe. Maybe not. Historians still argue whether medieval smiths rediscovered those techniques or simply guessed at them with every new blade. By the 11th shoe, you are half blind from sweat. You wipe your brow with a sleeve. Ash smears across your face. Your beard smells like burnt wool. You place the shoe beside the others, all lined neatly on the bench. One more to go. You hesitate. Your thumb pulses. Your eyes water. Your breath rasps. But you lift the last bar of iron anyway. You will finish. Not because anyone thanks you. Not because you're paid fairly. But because that's what you do. Your hammer falls again. Sparks leap into the air. They land on your apron. Bounce. Fade. You watch them go. The final shoe takes longer. Not because it's harder, but because you're slower. Your hands are wooden. Your breath comes in gasps. Your knees tremble, but you do not stop. When it's done, you don't cheer. You don't sigh. You simply nod. Place it with the others, and let yourself sit. The fire still burns. The bellows creak as they cool. The anvil is hot to the touch. The room glows orange. You lean your head back. You let the sweat dry on your face, and you close your eyes, just for a moment. The evening settles in with no celebration. The 12 shoes rest on the bench, darkening slowly as they lose their glow. You sit with your legs stretched out in front of the forge ankles, throbbing beneath the weight of the day. The air inside the shop is hot, thick, and unmoving. No wind finds its way in. You feel every layer of dirt on your skin. Ash clings to your forearms. There's soot in your eyebrows. Your tunic smells like scorched leather and sour sweat. You lift the lantern. It's low on oil, but the flame flickers enough to finish your cleanup. Each tool has its place. The hammers go on the rack above the hearth. Tongs hang from iron nails on the wall. You arrange them by size, the way your father taught you. Everything must be ready for tomorrow. The forge doesn't tolerate laziness. You glance at your hands again. The crack in your thumb has widened. Dried blood rims the edges. You soak it in the water bucket. It stings. You clench your teeth and hold it under until the pain dulls to a pulse. The door creaks again. This time it's the steward. He arrives with a curt nod. No pleasantries, no thank you. He inspects the shoes one by one, lifts them, taps them with a dagger's hilt, grunts, drops coins into your hand without counting. They clink dully. The amount is correct. Barely. He turns and leaves. No word of return. You're not surprised. You don't count the coins either. You've done this long enough to know what to expect. Just enough to buy flour beans oil, not enough for meat. Outside, twilight spreads across the road. The village grows quiet. Dogs bark in the distance. A cartwheel clatters down a side path. You pull your hood tighter and begin sweeping. Iron shavings pile up in small heaps. You collect them in a box. Someday you'll melt them back down. Nothing goes to waste. Once the floor is clear, you bank the fire. Push the coals to one side. Sprinkle ash over them. The forge will still be warm in the morning. You learned this trick from an older smith who lost his home to a spark. Ever since you've been cautious. Your dinner is simple. Boiled lentils in a clay pot. No salt, no herbs, just heat and texture. You eat slowly, chewing each mouthful with care, not because it's good, but because your teeth are bad and your jaw is sore. After eating, you step outside. The air is cooler now. You breathe deeply, the cleanest air you'll get all day. Stars begin to flicker above the tree line. You lean against the door frame and stretch your back. The bones crack. You grimace. The pain is dull and constant. You've had it for years. There's no such thing as retirement. You've seen smiths work until their hands froze into claws, until they couldn't lift a hammer, until they collapsed beside the fire and never stood up again. You return inside and pour warm water into the basin. You wash your face, rub the grime from your eyes, rinse the sweat from your neck. You use a rag to dry. It's stiff but clean. You hang it near the door to dry again. Your bed is simple straw stuffed into a coarse sack laid over wooden boards. A wool blanket lies folded at the foot. You remove your boots. Rub your feet. Pull the blanket up. Sleep comes slowly. Your body aches. Your ears ring. Your nose still burns from the forge smoke. But eventually, your breathing evens out. Your fingers twitch, and you drift. Then morning comes. Again. You rise slower today. Each joint protests. Your left shoulder has seized. You roll it carefully. You dress in the same tunic. It smells slightly less than yesterday's. You light the coals. The day begins. Today, you need to make nails. Hundreds of them, for a barn door. The carpenter came by last week, promised to pay well. He probably won't. You heat the iron bars, cut them into pieces. Each nail takes 3 strikes. You work fast at first. Rhythm helps. Tap, twist, strike. Flip, strike. Quench, repeat. But your hands soon begin to fail. The tips of your fingers throb. A black bruise forms near your palm. Your eyes blur. Still the pile grows. Slowly, unevenly. Nails scatter across the bench like fallen seeds. At midday, the carpenter arrives. As expected, he wants to haggle. You don't argue. You nod. You hand over the nails. He drops a pouch of dried apples onto the bench. Says he'll bring coin next week. You don't believe him. But you say nothing. The apples are tough, bitter. But you chew them anyway. Better than nothing. You recall an odd detail from a traveling monk once. He claimed blacksmiths were protected by saints in some lands. He spoke of Saint Eligius. You've never heard of him again. Maybe he lied. Maybe not. Historians still argue whether saints like Eligius truly existed or were stitched together from older folk tales. You don't pray. You hammer. The nails are done by sunset. Your shoulders sag. Your hips ache. You wash your face again. Then collapse onto your bed. No dreams tonight. The next morning begins in pain. You have a small contract from the manor house. Make hinges for a gate. Big hinges. Heavy. You prepare the iron. Heat, shape, quench. The usual. But today, your hands shake. You drop the hammer once. It lands on your foot. You shout. Then curse. Then laugh. It's the only sound you've made all day. You sit down. Try to wrap your foot. The toe has swollen already. You pull on your boot anyway. There's no time to rest. You remember a story from an old blacksmith you met once during a village festival. He said the worst job he ever had was making shackles. You believed him. Shackles are delicate and strong. The irony always struck you freedom forged from the same fire as chains. You fall asleep that night with your foot elevated on a bucket. The swelling throbs. You dream of cold iron and falling stars. You wake up before light again. Your right foot pulses with heat and pressure, the boot tight over your bruised toe. You sit up slowly. The pain spreads up your calf. You grunt. The forge is dark but warm from yesterday's coals. That means the ash blanket held through the night. A small comfort. You rise carefully, limp to the hearth and uncover the fire bed. You take the iron poker and stir the embers. Red glows beneath the gray. You smile faintly. That saves you 20 minutes. You add charcoal, pump the bellows, and feel the flames grow. As the forge wakes, so do your lungs. Each breath tastes like last week's smoke. You cough into your sleeve. The soot never leaves. You know of no smith who lived past 60. Most die younger of lung rot, of collapsed chests, of breathless sleep. There's a bucket of water near the door. You drink slowly. It tastes of ash and iron. Everything does. You've forgotten what clean air feels like. Sometimes when the wind shifts, you catch a scent of grass or bread or rain. It always disappears before you can enjoy it. Today, you're making a hinge assembly for a merchant's warehouse door. Large, reinforced, riveted, the kind that groans when it opens. He's promised good coin. You don't trust him, but the work is real. The iron is already cut. You lift it with tongs, place it in the heart of the flame, and wait for it to glow. As you wait, you stretch your arms. Your elbow pops again. You roll your shoulders, wince, and shift your weight. Your foot protests. You ignore it. You've ignored worse. The iron is ready. You pull it from the coals. The glow is perfect orange near the edge, white at the center. You place it on the anvil and begin. Strike. Flip. Strike. Rotate. Flatten. Every motion timed. Every strike placed. You lose yourself in the rhythm. The sound fills the forge. The ringing in your ears blends with the hammer's music. Your body moves on memory. Thought isn't needed. Midway through the first hinge, a spark lands on your neck. It burns a small dot. You flinch, but don't stop. You've had worse. Your skin is a map of these tiny fires, neck, arms, hands, even cheekbones. You pause only to quench the peace. Steam bursts upward. You blink and step back. The metal hisses like a viper. You breathe through your mouth to avoid coughing. It doesn't help. You return to the fire, start the second hinge. Halfway through, your vision blurs. Not from smoke, but from strain. You blink repeatedly, wipe your forehead, and keep going. You'll finish by sunset, or you'll wake in the middle of the night to do it. Once a traveler told you that Egyptian blacksmiths used crocodile dung in their forge recipes. You don't know if it's true, but it sounded ridiculous enough to be believable. You chuckled back then. You don't chuckle now. You keep hammering. The second hinge takes longer. Your hand slips once and the hammer strikes the anvil instead. The shock rattles your elbow. You curse softly, shake your hand out, reset your grip. The door creaks. You don't look up. It's probably a boy bringing a tool to fix, or someone checking if the shoes are ready. You mutter that you're busy and keep working. Later, you realize no one spoke. The door opened and shut. No voice, no footfall. That happens sometimes. Your mind plays tricks when you're tired. The hinges are done by late afternoon. You line them on the bench and rub each with oil-soaked cloth. Keeps the rust away, at least for a week or two. After that, it's someone else's problem. You sit down. Your foot pulses again. You remove your boot slowly. The toe is purple. You prod it. Not broken. Probably. You wrap it again and put the boot back on. You think about the charcoal. It comes from the woods north of the village. Cut trees stacked in a pit covered in turf, burned slow, then carted down in sacks. You trade nails or axe heads for a share. Sometimes the coal is poor wet or crumbly, makes the forge smoke more than burn. That's when the real lung damage starts. You remember once using peat. It smoked worse, left your tools sticky. Never tried it again. The forge itself is made of stone and brick. The chimney runs upward and then hooks sideways. It clogs easily. You climb the roof twice a month to clean it. You've fallen once. Bruised ribs. No one helped. They only asked if the blades were still on schedule. You eat dinner on the stoop. Cold lentils again. Some dried carrot slices hard as bone. You chew slowly. Watch the sky change color. An owl calls from the woods. You know the sound. It's the same one from your childhood. Either that, or you just want it to be. Your forge is near the edge of the village, past the well near the tannery. That means fewer neighbors, less noise. But it also means you're closest to the forest. You've seen wolves once, only their eyes glowing in firelight. You stayed indoors for 2 days after that. The merchant arrives just before dark. He inspects the hinges, grunts once, pays in silver, actual silver. You're surprised. You nod. He leaves. You stare at the coin longer than usual. You might buy salt next week, maybe even a smoked fish. You bank the fire, clean the tools, sweep the floor. You find a bent nail from 2 days ago. You toss it into the scrap pile. You wash your face, change your tunic, and sit on your bed. Your hands tremble. You hold them together until they stop. Historians still argue whether blacksmiths were seen as sorcerers in rural villages. Some say the fire, the noise, and the transformation of metal gave people strange ideas. Others claim smiths were just loud, dirty workers with no mystery. You feel no mystery, just heat and silence. You blow out the lantern. The forge cools beside you. The shadows deepen, and you close your eyes. Your eyes open to darkness again. The inside of your forge smells of sweat trapped in wool and smoke buried in stone. You inhale. Your lungs scratch. You cough once, then twice, then more deeply a dry hacking sound that pulls tight from your ribs. The fire is only ash now. You push yourself upright slowly. Every joint says no. Your hands are stiff, curled slightly. You force your fingers straight. They resist. You flex each one, groaning softly. The thumb with the split skin still weeps a little. You rewrap it with clean cloth, though nothing is ever truly clean here. Today, you're not making tools. Today, you forge something less pleasant. You've been asked for chains, not the kind for lifting barrels or pulling carts. These are shackles, iron cuffs, lengths of chain locking bolts. You don't ask who they're for. You already know. You've made them before. You feed the hearth with coal and wood scrap, pump the bellows gently. You listen to the low roar, the sound building like a storm just out of reach. You wait for the center of the coals to turn white. Then you start cutting the bars. Each link starts as a narrow rod heated and curved around a mandrel, then welded closed with a quick hammer tap while still orange hot. Then another, then another. You lose count quickly. Your mind detaches from the process. Your arms keep working. Your shoulders burn. The cuffs are more delicate, shaped from flat stock curled into a circle, ends folded for a pin. You make 6 sets. 3 small, 3 large. You run out of iron midway through and melt down some old nails to finish. Nothing goes to waste. Not even old mistakes. The work is harder today. Your head aches. The forge is hotter. The smoke thicker. You open the side shutter for air, but the wind is wrong. The smoke just curls back in. You let it. At midday, a guard from the Lord's estate arrives. He's mounted. His horse snorts at the forge door. You squint into the daylight. The guard dismounts slowly. He has a list. 6 names. You glance at it. You recognize none. He doesn't speak. He inspects the chains, grunts approval, tosses a coin purse on your bench, mounts again, rides away. You stand very still for a long time. You finish the cuffs, file the edges, smooth the pins. You test the locks. They click shut with a hollow sound. You place them in a sack and store them in the corner. You don't want to look at them. You step outside. The sun is too bright. You shield your eyes. The village is quiet. A woman passes with a basket of onions. She doesn't look at you. You walk to the well, draw up water, wash your face, your hands, your forearms. You scrub the soot away, but it always leaves something behind. You drink 2 full ladles. The cold water shocks your teeth. You return and sit on the stoop. The stone is warm now. You close your eyes for a moment. Your chest rises slowly. The hammer callus on your palm rubs against your knee. You hear the owl again. In the daytime. That's rare. Your mind wanders to a strange tale. A traveler once told you about Japanese swordsmiths, how they folded steel hundreds of times. It sounded like a fantasy. But you've heard similar things from more than one source. Historians still argue whether those folding techniques were better or simply necessary for the poor ore quality. You wouldn't know. You only work with what you're given. You return to the forge. There's always more to do. You start repairs on a broken gate latch. It's cracked along the edge. You heat it well to patch, reshape the tip. It works. It always works. You always make it work. The rest of the day moves slower. Your energy drains. Your shoulders slump. You finish a few minor jobs. Straighten a bent hoe. Patch a cracked cooking pot. Replace a rivet on an old lock. By sunset, the forge is glowing dimly. You rake the coals. Add a scoop of ash. Let it rest. You don't eat much. A heel of bread. A slice of apple from yesterday. You chew slowly. Your teeth ache. One is loose. You stare at your hands. Imagine what they looked like when you were young. You can't picture it. You sit on your bed. Stretch your legs out straight. The boards creak under your weight. You shift. The straw crunches. You wrap a cloth around your foot again. The bruise has faded to yellow. It still throbs when it rains. The moon is full tonight. You can see its glow through the cracks in the shutters. You listen to the wind. You hear distant hooves. Maybe a cart. Maybe something else. You stay still. You think about the chains. You think about how many hands they'll touch, how many wrists they'll bite, how many doors they'll close behind. You don't believe in curses, but sometimes the forge feels like one. You close your eyes. The darkness feels familiar. You take one long, slow breath. Your chest rises. Your arms twitch. You sleep. The morning arrives quietly. No rooster, no wind. Just the steady creak of wood shifting overhead as the air warms. You open your eyes slowly. Your right foot is numb from how you slept. You wiggle the toes. Pins and needles. You exhale. Sit up. Rub your face. Your beard itches. You need to trim it soon. You reach for the flint. Strike. Strike again. A tiny spark leaps. It lands in the charcoal dust. You blow gently. The spark catches. It grows. The coals begin to glow. You feed the forge with fuel. You pump the bellows. The room brightens with orange flicker. You feel it on your cheeks. Your shoulders feel like stone. You rotate each one slowly. A dull pop, then another. Your back creaks when you bend. You stretch your arms. Your shirt smells like smoke and wool and iron. You keep wearing it anyway. The list for today is long. A priest's gate latch. A peasant's broken sickle. 2 spears for a village guard. And 1 complicated lock requested by the town clerk himself. You don't ask what he wants to keep locked. You know better. You begin with the sickle. It's cracked at the blade's edge. You heat it. You hammer it thin. You fold the crack. Weld it closed. It's rough, but strong enough for grass. You quench it. The hiss fills the room. Next, the gate latch. Bent where it meets the wood. Probably forced open. You hammer it flat. Reshape the catch. Polish the latch with oil and wool. It shines dully. That's good enough. By mid-morning, a boy arrives. Maybe 10 years old. Dirt smudged. barefoot. He waits at the door. You wave him in. He offers a wooden pole, headless. You nod. Spear work is easy. You fetch the iron rods, short-pointed, meant for weapons. The forge is hot now. Sweat collects at your neck. You slide the rod in. Watch it turn orange. You hammer the tip into shape, sharp leaf-shaped, with a narrow tang to fit the shaft. You dip it, repeat, then rivet the head onto the wood. You hand the spear back. The boy nods. Leaves. You stand still for a moment. You realize you haven't spoken all morning. Your ears ring louder than usual today, a high tone steady and thin like a distant bell. You rub your temples. It doesn't stop. It never does. The lock is last. It's the hardest part. You take out the brass. Not common, but the clerk paid for it. It's soft but tricky. You must cast the base drill, the keyhole file, the teeth fit the bolt. You begin with the mold. You pack sand around the shape. You pour the molten brass. It sizzles. You wait for it to cool. As it sets, you think about locks. You don't like them, not because they're hard, because they always feel like secrets made solid. Every lock holds something from someone. You don't want to know what. The brass is cool. You file the edges, drill the chamber, test the key, adjust the teeth. It clicks into place. The bolt slides clean. You oil it, set it aside. The door opens. It's the clerk. Plump balding, flushed from walking. He doesn't wait for you to greet him. He takes the lock, turns it over, smiles, drops 3 coins into your hand, silver and copper, fair price. He talks about church repairs, new hinges next week, maybe more locks. You nod. He leaves. You set the coins aside. You rub your palms. The calluses are cracked again. You'll need salve tonight, if you remember. You step outside. The sun is high. The sky is clear. A few crows circle overhead. The road is dry. You see the baker's boy hauling sacks of flour. You hear the tannery hammering hides on boards. You smell the latrine pit near the well. You think of how noisy this village is. But they call you the loud one. You go back inside. The forge smokes less now. You rake the coals gently. Let the fire rest. You take a cloth. Wipe the sweat from your neck. Your shirt clings to your back. You remove it. Briefly shake it out. It smells worse now. You put it back on. You find a moment of stillness. You sit on your bench. Close your eyes. Listen to the creak of the forge roof. A fly buzzes past your ear. You swat it. Miss. It lands near the anvil. You let it be. You think of the tools you've made, the ones still in use, the hinges on the church, the plows in the fields, the knives in every kitchen, the nails in every roof beam. You built this village piece by piece in iron and sweat. No one says it, but you know. You remember an old blacksmith's tale, that every tool carries a part of its maker's soul. You've made thousands. What's left of yours? There's a knock at the door. A merchant this time, traveling through, wants new wheel rims. You agree, work for tomorrow. He mentions he's from a coastal town, says their smith uses bellows made from seal skin. You nod. Sounds strange, maybe real, maybe not. Historians still argue whether coastal blacksmiths used fish oil to temper blades. Some say it gave a sharper edge. Others say it only stank. You clean your tools, sweep the floor, toss iron scraps into the melting bin. You find a nail stub in your boot heel. You pull it out, toss it aside, rub your foot. Dinner is flatbread, thin, crisp, dipped in broth from 3 days ago. Still warm, still edible. You eat slowly. Night falls. You trim the lantern wick. The flame flickers. The shadows lengthen. You sit beside the fire. Not for heat, but for company. You lean back. Your neck clicks. You stare at the ceiling. The beam still holds. You check it every night. You always will. You lie down. Pull the blanket to your chest. The cloth is rough. The straw pokes your back. You don't mind. You listen to the forge settle. The coals sigh. The air cools. You close your eyes and sleep again. You wake with your arm asleep. It dangles from the bed, tingling. You roll slowly to your side and flex your hand. The fingers come back one by one. First the pinky, then the ring, then the rest. The straw rustles beneath you. The forge is silent, but not cold. The embers from last night still breathe under ash. You shift the coals with the poker. Sparks flicker up. You add dry kindling. Pump the bellows. The fire rises, and with it the ache in your shoulders. Today begins with a knock. You open the door to a young man well-dressed, wearing soft boots and a wool cloak. Not from the village. His hands are too clean. He says he's from the Blacksmith's Guild. You nod slowly. You didn't ask for a visit, but you know better than to turn one away. He steps inside, looks around, notes your tools. The forge. The roof beam. He asks about your accounts, your orders, your rates. You answer each question flatly. He writes notes with a charcoal stick on a thin wax tablet. Then he asks to see your license. You point to the board above the hearth, a chipped wooden seal marked with your family crest, faded but visible. He frowns, says the design is old. Rules have changed. New guidelines, new fees, new metal mark required for guild trade. You stare at him. He smiles tightly, offers to update your mark for a price. You don't have the coin. He shrugs, says he'll return next month. If you're not compliant by then, you'll lose your charter. You nod once. He leaves. You stare at the seal. You carved it yourself when you were 16. Your father showed you how. You haven't thought of it in years. Guild rules are strict. Always have been. Rates are set by town councils. Work must follow guidelines. No undercutting. No secret orders. You understand. But it always feels like someone else is holding the hammer. You try to focus. The merchant's wheel rims must be finished. You lift the first iron ring from its hook. Its wide rough needs reshaping. You heat it. Watch the metal color. When it glows, you hammer the edge smooth. The anvil vibrates. The rhythm returns. You fall into it. Each strike costs you. Your arms tire fast today. Your back bends slightly more than usual. You pause often, drink water, rub your temples. Continue. You finish the first rim by midday. You lean against the bench. Your shirt clings to your back. You open the shutter. Let the wind cool your skin. The merchant returns. Inspects the rim. Nods. Asks when the second will be done. You say before sunset. He doesn't reply. Just turns away. You return to the forge. Begin again. Outside, someone is yelling. A farmer's voice. Something about pigs. You don't look. You just hammer. By mid-afternoon, you're nearly done. You check the rim's curve. It's true. No warps, no cracks. You cool it slowly in oil. The scent rises bitter and sharp. You hand it off at dusk. The merchant pays with a mix of silver and dried beans. You frown. He shrugs, says that's all he has. You take it. You always do. You sit on your bench. The light fades. Your hands ache. A splinter lodged near your knuckle yesterday now swells. You press it. Pain shoots through your arm. You find your smallest file. Dig out the splinter. Clean the wound with hot water. Wrap it. A knock again. This time it's your apprentice. You'd forgotten he was supposed to return today. He's tall now, broader, covered in soot already. His mother sent him to study smithing. He has little skill, less patience, but you take him in. No one else would. He mumbles a greeting, sets his pack near the wall. You nod toward the fire. He begins sweeping. You say nothing. Let him get used to the silence again. You remember being young in this forge. The way every sound felt new. Every flame felt too hot. You burned your hands daily. Dropped tongs. Cried when the hammer bounced wrong. No one helped you. You learned by pain. Your apprentice knocks over a quenching tub. Water spills across the floor. He jumps back. You sigh. Pick up the bucket. Mop the mess with a rag. You say nothing. He avoids your eyes. You hand him a dull knife. Tell him to sharpen it. He nods quickly, sits near the door, begins grinding. The fire hums softly. The forge feels calmer with someone else inside. Not easier, just less hollow. You eat beans tonight, the dried ones from the merchant. They're bitter, tough, but filling. Your apprentice doesn't complain. He eats in silence. After you show him how to wrap the tools, where to place the tongs, how to bank the fire with ash. He listens, but you see his eyes wander. He's not focused. Not yet. You tell him to sleep on the bench. You'll give him a mat later. He nods, lies down, stares at the ceiling. You lie on your own bed. Pull the blanket over your chest. Your arms feel heavier than usual. You close your eyes. Think of the guild inspector, the merchant, the rules. You wonder how much longer you can keep the forge open. Historians still argue whether guild restrictions helped or hurt rural tradesmen. Some say the stability was good. Others say it trapped smiths in endless cycles of debt. You don't need a historian. You live the answer. You sleep lightly. Your hands twitch. Your ears ring. Your back throbs. But the forge stands. For now. You wake to the sound of your apprentice snoring. It's a thin, reedy noise, not loud, but constant. You lie still for a moment, staring at the ceiling beam. The same crack as always, unchanged. You sit up slowly. Your shoulders protest. Your foot aches. Your hands are stiff. The coals are cold this morning. Your apprentice forgot to bank the fire. You stand sighing and begin again. Flint, bark, breath, spark. The same rhythm. Always the same. You stoke the fire with measured patience. You don't yell. You don't sigh loudly. You simply set the work right. Your apprentice will notice his mistake. That's enough. You turn to your list. There's a sword order due. You hate sword work. Not because it's difficult, but because it's dangerous. Nobles expect perfection. A warped blade means punishment. A brittle one means death for someone else or for you. You begin by selecting the steel, not iron. Iron bends. Iron cracks. This calls for layered steel. You heat the billet, fold it, hammer, fold again. Each pass aligns the grain drives out the flaws. Your apprentice watches wide-eyed. You don't speak. The fire speaks loud enough. The billet glows white. You strike with a heavy hammer. Sparks fly. They land on your arms, your apron, the floor. You don't flinch. They burn, but only briefly. Your apprentice asks why you fold the steel. You answer slowly, removing slag, refining strength. He nods. He doesn't understand. Not yet. You shape the blade. Long, straight, tapered. You test the edge with your thumb. It bites slightly. Good. You grind it smooth. Quench it carefully. Tip first, then the rest. A single hiss, then silence. You polish the blade. Add the fuller down the center. It gleams dully. Not shiny. Not for decoration, for balance. You fit the tang into a wooden hilt, wrap it in leather, rivet the pommel. A plain crossguard completes the weapon. You weigh it in your hand. It balances well. The noble's courier arrives by midday. He inspects the sword, doesn't speak, drops a pouch of silver and rides away. You exhale. That one's done. Your apprentice picks up the offcuts. He asks if he can make a dagger. You nod. He sets the pieces on the bench and begins. You watch him. His grip is wrong. His strikes uneven. But he tries. That matters more. You step outside. The wind has changed. Cooler now. Clouds roll overhead. Rain is near. You remember the last time the forge roof leaked. Water poured down the chimney, soaked the coals. You had to start from cold for a week. Miserable days. You patched the roof with tar and clay. It held, mostly. You feel the first raindrop hit your hand. You go back inside. The air thickens as the storm nears. The forge crackles louder. Your apprentice struggles with his dagger. You offer no help. He must learn by mistake. You start on hinges for the church gate. Large, wide set. They must bear weight and resist rust. You cut the iron heated and begin shaping. Your mind wanders. You think of the nobles and their blades. You think of the peasants and their plows. You serve both. Neither thanks you. You remember a strange rumor once about a blacksmith who made a sword so perfect it could cut through stone. A myth, surely. Historians still argue whether such blades ever existed, or if they were only written into stories to impress kings and children. You finish the hinges, quench them, stack them by the door. Your apprentice shows you his dagger. It's crooked, dull, uneven. You nod, take it from his hand, tap the spine, bend it slightly, hand it back. Try again, you say. He does. Rain begins to fall hard now. You hear it on the roof, on the shutters, on the chimney stones. The forge hisses slightly as drops sneak in. You close the flue, bank the fire, sweep the floor. The room darkens. You eat bread soaked in broth. Salted this time. A gift from the merchant's wife who needed a new oven hook. She paid in spice, a rare treat. Your apprentice eats beside you. He doesn't speak. You don't expect him to. Later you mend a broken hinge from a wine press. The crack is deep. You weld a strip of steel across it. It holds. You test it twice, then 3 times. You've learned not to trust a first success. The rain doesn't stop. The village road floods. You hear shouting outside someone's cart stuck in the mud. You don't go look. Not your problem. You show your apprentice how to hang tongs, how to clean slag from the hearth, how to check the anvil for cracks. He watches, repeats your movements, slightly wrong but close. You remember being 16 again. Your father's forge had fewer tools, smaller fire, but the same smell, the same rhythm. You miss it sometimes, but not often. The rain slows. Night creeps in. The forge dims. You rub your palms slowly. The skin is cracked again. You apply ash oil. Wrap the worst spots. You give your apprentice a straw mat. Place it near the back wall, away from the draft. He thanks you. You nod. You lie on your own bed. Pull the blanket up. The straw shifts beneath you. The smell of iron clings to everything. You exhale. You wonder what the noble will use the sword for. You wonder if it will ever taste blood. You wonder if it will break. But mostly, you don't wonder. You sleep. Your apprentice rises before you. The sound of him moving wakes you. He's clumsy, knocks over a pail, drops a ladle, swears under his breath. You don't scold him. You simply sit up, stretch your back, and feel the ache return. You glance at the hearth. He tried to light the fire. It didn't catch. The coals are damp from last night's rain. You move beside him. Strike the flint properly. Guide his hand to the dry bark. Show him how to pump the bellows in rhythm. The fire takes. It always does when done right. Today's task is one of the hardest. Horseshoes. The tanner's mare lost a shoe in the field. The beast kicked until it bent. The farmer's boy brought it yesterday, mud-slicked and bent. You have to reforge the full set. You show your apprentice the bar stock long, thick strips of iron, cold and stiff. He watches you measure the arc of the hoof using a worn wooden form. You place the iron in the fire, wait for it to glow orange, then white. You pull it out with tongs. Center it on the anvil. Begin to bend the arch. The hammer rings. Your back tightens with each strike. You grimace, but say nothing. Your apprentice asks if the shoes are all the same. You shake your head. Front hooves are wider. Rears are narrower. You gesture to the template board. It hangs near the back wall. 8 wooden outlines carved from years of trial and error. He studies them, picks one up, compares it to the bent shoe, nods. He's learning. You hand him a piece of bar stock. He hesitates, then places it in the fire. You continue shaping your shoe. By mid-morning, you've finished the first. It cools with a hiss in the quench barrel. The steam rises to your face. You close your eyes. Let it wash over you. For a moment, you feel clean. You start the second. Your apprentice tries to mirror your movement. His strike is off. The curve is wrong. You take the piece, reheat it, show him again. Then hand it back. You don't fix it for him. He must learn. He continues slower this time, more careful. That's the only way. By midday, you have 4 shoes. He has 1, crooked but recognizable. You nod. He almost smiles. The tanner arrives, broad-shouldered, smells of leather and lye. He inspects the shoes, says little, offers 2 haunches of smoked venison in exchange. You agree without hesitation. Meat is rare. You haven't tasted it in weeks. You wrap the meat in cloth, hang it from a hook near the ceiling, out of reach of mice. You'll stew it later. You begin trimming the tongs. One has warped from use. You heat the jaws, realign them with the flat of the hammer. You tap gently. The metal responds. You cool it. Hang it back. Your apprentice sweeps the floor. Slag and ash fall into neat piles. He empties the bucket outside. You hear the splash as he dumps it near the compost. You step out briefly. The sun is high. The road is drying. The mud has hardened into ridges. You stretch your back. It pops. You feel the tightness shift. You rub your neck. You see the cart from earlier still half sunken by the well. Its owner curses quietly, trying to lift a wheel. You keep walking. Back inside, you clean the anvil face. Flat, polished, slightly nicked. It's been with you for 20 years. You've struck it more times than you've spoken. You hear your apprentice whisper something. A curse, maybe. You glance over. He's dropped a hot shoe in the water too early. It cracked. You nod. He scowls, tosses it aside, tries again. You eat dried beans and carrot slivers for lunch. Your apprentice joins you. He chews quickly. He's young, still hungry. You give him your last crust of bread. He takes it without speaking. You don't mind? After lunch, you show him the shoeing nails. Thin, long, slightly curved. You forge each one by hand. Hundreds in a season. Thousands over years. You give him the smaller hammer. He misses his first strike. Then his second. The third lands true. You say nothing. That's how it was for you. He asks about accidents. You nod slowly. Tell him about the smith who lost 2 fingers holding a blade wrong. Another burned his whole leg when the quench barrel tipped. You point to your own scars. The burn on your collarbone. The missing patch of eyebrow. The blackened thumbnail that never grew right again. He listens. You tell him horses are worse than fire. They kick hard. Unexpected. You've fitted shoes while kneeling beside twitching hooves, taken blows to the ribs, once broke a nose, still finished the job. You remember that day? Blood dripping down your lip, hammer still in hand. The hoof didn't wait. Historians still argue whether farriers and blacksmiths were separate trades. In cities, maybe. In villages, you do both. You make the shoes. You fit them. You calm the animal, or suffer the consequences. You show your apprentice how to lift a horse's leg safely, how to place a hoof on the stand, how to hammer the nails in without striking the sensitive quick. You mime the motion in the air. He practices, awkward but improving. You finish the last shoe by sundown, stack them by the door. You clean the tools, wipe them dry, hang them neatly. Your apprentice helps. He moves slowly, muscles sore, blisters forming. You stew the venison in a clay pot, add carrots, a pinch of salt. The smell fills the forge. It drowns out the smoke. You both eat in silence. You give him a better mat. He thanks you again, this time with his eyes. You lie on your bed. Listen to the wind. It's calmer tonight. You stare at your hands, black at the edges, cracked near the thumbs. You close them, open them. Feel the ache settle. You wonder how many horses now walk the roads because of your work. You'll never know. You sleep. You rise slowly. The sky is still gray. Your shoulders ache more than usual. Your hands barely close at first. You rub them against your thighs until the fingers obey. You stand. Stretch. The floor creaks. Your apprentice is already sweeping, trying not to wake you. You nod to him. He nods back. The coals have cooled. You build the fire again. You guide his hands this time, showing how to layer the ash bark and charcoal. He tries. He fails. He tries again. The second attempt works. You let him pump the bellows. The fire grows. He smiles slightly. You don't. Today is market day. You haul your goods to town once a month. You dread it. Not because of the people, but because of the mud. The market road never dries. It's rutted deep from years of carts' hooves and feet. And today it rained overnight. You can already smell the wet earth from inside the forge. You load the cart slowly. Hinges, nails, hooks, brackets, a few knives, an old sickle. You stack them in burlap and wrap them in oilcloth. Your apprentice helps. He grunts as he lifts a box of horseshoes. His arms shake. You adjust the load. Redistribute the weight. It will still be heavy. You hitch the cart to your mule. Its name is lost to time. You simply call it Mule. It doesn't protest. It never does. The journey is short, just 2 miles to the village center, but long in steps. The road is soft. Your boots sink with every pace. Mud splashes up to your knees. The wheels stick. Your apprentice pushes. You pull. By the first bend, you are both covered in muck. Your back screams. Your hands grip the handles so tightly, your knuckles pale beneath soot. You don't stop. You reach the square by mid-morning. It's crowded already. Bakers, tanners, farmers, children, peddlers. Your space is always the same beside the cooper's stall near the alehouse wall. Dry enough, shaded. You set out your goods, each one in its place, the nails in bundles, the hinges by size, the knives on cloth. You hang a shovel head from the cart's rail. It sways gently in the breeze. Then you wait. The first customer is a woman with a bent ladle. She points. You offer her a new one. She squints, asks the price. You tell her. She frowns, tries to haggle. You don't lower the cost. She leaves. You don't chase her. The next is a farmer. He buys a dozen nails. pays in eggs. You accept. You set them in a basket under the bench. They're fresh, still warm. More come. A man needs a latch. A girl buys a knife. A boy wants to trade a belt buckle for a sharpening stone. You agree. You've learned to take what's offered. By midday, you've sold half your stock. Your apprentice watches the coins. He asks how much you've earned. You shrug. Enough for flour, maybe oil. You eat on the bench, salted meat, hard bread. You break it with your teeth. Chew slowly. Your apprentice does the same. You share a flask of water. The cooper offers you ale in exchange for 4 hinges. You agree. He pours you a tin cup. You sip. It's thin, warm, but better than water. The afternoon wears on. The sun appears briefly. The mud steams. Flies gather. You swat them away. A dog barks. A cart creaks past. A man yells about onions. You feel the weight of the day pressing into your spine. Your boots pinch. Your ankles swell. You shift your stance often. You remember hearing once about Roman markets, paved roads, stone stalls, orderly lines. You laugh softly. Historians still argue whether rural trade in ancient times was more efficient than now. You doubt it. A soldier stops at your stall. He picks up a dagger, flips it in his hand, asks if it's battle-ready. You say no. It's for cutting twine. He grunts, puts it back, leaves. By sunset, you've sold most of your goods. You pack what's left carefully. The mule waits patiently. You and your apprentice begin the walk home. The mud is thicker now. Your boots make sucking sounds. The wheels drag. The sun dips behind the hills. Shadows stretch long. You reach the forge as twilight settles. You unload in silence. Place the remaining stock back on shelves. Clean your boots. Hang your cloak. Wash your hands. Your apprentice slumps on the bench. His legs ache. He says so. You nod. You boil eggs for dinner. They crack in the pot. You don't mind. You eat 2. He eats 3. You sit in silence as the fire fades. You tell him about your first market day. You were 13. You dropped a box of nails in a puddle. Spent an hour picking them up. Your father said nothing, just made you re-oil them. You remember the smell, the cold water, the rust starting before the day ended. He listens. You lean back, stretch your arms, feel your spine click again. You rub your wrists. Your fingers cramp. You bank the fire, close the shutter, bolt the door. You lie down. The straw crackles. The blanket scratches. You hear your apprentice snore again, louder this time. You stare at the beam, still holding. You close your eyes. The forge is quiet. The morning begins with a sharp pain in your left knee. You try to stand, but need an extra second. Your apprentice is already awake, seated near the anvil, rubbing his palms with grease. His eyes are swollen. He didn't sleep much. Neither did you. You glance toward the hearth. The coals are warm, but not ready. He lit them too soon, didn't let them settle. You say nothing. Instead, you reach for the bellows and help them breathe. The fire rises properly now. It spreads like slow lightning across black stone. Today is repair day. Every week, tools come in battered, bent, cracked, or dulled. You have a pile of them now stacked along the wall behind the quenching barrel. Axe heads split down the middle, scythe blades bent sideways, knives dulled to stubs, one broken key nearly worn smooth. You start with the scythe blade. It's old, probably passed down through generations. The handle is gone. The tang is cracked. You heat it, then hammer it flat. The crack fights you. You keep striking until the metal gives in. You cool it slowly, setting it on stone while the rest of the blade stays warm. Your apprentice takes the knife pile. He grinds them down against the stone wheel. Sparks fly sideways. He sneezes once, then again. The dust rises thick. You test the scythe blade with your thumb. Sharp enough. You begin shaping the tang. You drill 2 new rivet holes. Clean them with a file. You rub ash oil into the surface to hold back rust. Then you set it aside. Next is the axe head. It's notched badly. Someone used it to chop stone, not wood. You hammer the edge blunt, then slowly reshape it. The metal resists. You keep going. You always keep going. The rhythm of repair is different, less noise, more precision. Your apprentice keeps working beside you. He says little. You prefer it that way. You repair 5 tools before midday. The forge is hotter now. The room smells of oil and dust and steel. Your back sticks to your shirt. You wipe your forehead on your sleeve. It leaves a streak. You drink water, lukewarm, tastes of tin. You still drink. Your apprentice stops to eat. You chew a strip of jerky, tough dry but enough to keep moving. You sit on your bench. Watch the shadows shift across the floor. Someone knocks. You open the door. It's the priest. He brings a rusted candle stand. The legs are wobbly. One has cracked clean through. You nod. Take it. He says nothing else. Just leaves. You remember once hearing that some priests in the northern reaches believed iron was sacred, too pure for the unclean to touch. You'd laugh, but your ribs hurt. You begin repairing the stand. The legs must be rejoined. You heat a flat bar, shape it into a brace, and rivet it across the crack. You file the excess smooth, wipe it with oil. It stands straight again. You don't ask what candles it holds. You don't care. Your apprentice finishes the knives. He holds them out. 7 dull to sharp. He waits. You test each edge. They're decent. You hand them back. He beams quietly. You think about hands. Yours are cracked, lined, stained with ash. His are still pink in places. He tries to hide the blisters. You let him. Next is the broken key. It's small, thin, twisted at the teeth. You squint at the pattern. The lock it fits must be narrow. You heat it gently, just enough to soften the bend. You straighten it slowly, tap by tap. You file the teeth, checking their angles. You test the spring with your fingers. It bends but holds. You wrap it in cloth. Set it aside. By late afternoon, the pile is gone. Each tool repaired. Not perfect, but usable. You don't make perfect. You make strong. You clean the forge. Wipe the anvil. Sweep the floor. Your apprentice takes a cloth to the tongs. He hums. Off key. You say nothing. You open the shutter. Let in some light. The road outside is dry. A cart passes by loaded with straw. The smell of it hits you. It's sharp and sweet. You step outside, stretch your back, roll your neck. Something cracks deep near the spine. You wince. The sky is clear. A hawk circles far above. You shield your eyes, then turn away. Inside, your apprentice polishes the workbench. You watch him. He fumbles, knocks a hook onto the floor. It clatters. He jumps. You lift it, hand it back. He asks if repairs are better than forging. You pause. Then say that repair is about memory. Forging is about force. He nods. Doesn't understand yet. One day he might. You boil lentils for dinner. You add the last of the salt. They taste better. He eats quickly. You eat slower. The fire fades. You bank the coals. He lays out his mat. You lie on your bed. You close your eyes. Your ears ring. Your wrists twitch. You think about the tools you fixed today. They'll break again. Everything breaks eventually. But for now, they work. That's enough. The wind howls before the sun rises. It rattles the shutters, whistles through the gaps in the forge's walls. You open your eyes and feel the chill already seeping into the stone floor. You sit up. The blanket slips from your shoulders. You pull it back just for a moment more of warmth. Your apprentice sleeps soundly on his mat, arms tucked beneath him. The room is cold. Your breath clouds in front of your face. You rise slowly. Your knees groan. You push the door open just a crack. The sky is gray, full of heavy clouds. You close it again. The coals are black this morning. The ash blanket failed. You start fresh. Flint, bark, straw, spark. You kneel by the hearth. The cold stone bites your knees. You puff gently at the ember. The fire catches, but weakly. You feed it charcoal. You pump the bellows. Slowly the room warms. Today will not be a forging day. Today is a rebuilding day. The village was raided last night. You heard the shouting before dawn. Hooves on the road. Splintered wood. A scream that echoed once and then stopped. You didn't go out. You never do. You wait, then rebuild. There's a knock before you finish preparing the tools. A woman stands outside. Her eyes are red. She holds a broken door hinge in one hand. In the other, a bent kitchen knife. Behind her, 2 children stand barefoot. You take the items. You say nothing. She nods once and walks away. The forge door stays open after that. One by one, the villagers arrive. A man with a smashed plowshare. A boy with a broken lockbox. A neighbor with 2 cracked buckets, their metal rims torn free. You line the repairs on the bench. You count 17 items by mid-morning. You've seen worse. But this is enough. Your apprentice stands quietly waiting for instruction. You hand him the buckets. Simple work. He understands. You take the hinge and begin reshaping it. The room fills with sound. Hammer strikes. Scraping files. The dull hum of the bellows. The forge blazes high. You don't speak. Neither does he. The knife is next. It's bent across the belly, chipped at the tip. You heat it gently. Lay it flat. Tap it straight. You grind a new edge. Shorter but usable. You glance outside. A trail of black smoke still curls in the distance. One roof lost. You know which. The Cooper's house. You heard the shouting. You don't ask if anyone was inside. The plowshare is worse, bent nearly double. You heat it in the hottest part of the forge. The iron glows like sunrise. You strike it rhythmically, evenly, flatten it, curve it again. You quench it. Steam fills the forge. Your apprentice burns his hand on a bucket rim. He hisses, drops it. You walk over. Wrap the burn with damp cloth. No scolding. He winces, then returns to work. That's enough. By midday, you've finished 6 repairs. Your apprentice, 4. You both eat together. Bread and onion slices. Cold water. You sit in silence. The wind still moans through the gaps. Someone passes the door carrying a body, covered in linen. You don't look up. After lunch, more items arrive. A sword with a bent hilt. An iron pot missing its handle. A chest latch wrenched clean off. You set them down gently. You sort them by type. You begin again. The sword worries you. The hilt is nearly snapped. Whoever used it struck stone, not flesh. Or panicked. You heat the tang, pull the metal straight, add a new guard, file the edges. You don't ask who will wield it next. The pot is easier. You forge a new handle from a scrap bar. Rivet it tight. You test the weight. It swings true. The latch takes longer. The spring inside is broken. You shape a new one. Test it. It sticks. You file it smoother. It clicks. You nod. Outside, the sun tries to shine. It fails. The light is weak, pale. It doesn't warm the stone walls. You close the shutter. Your apprentice sets down his last repair, a bucket ring cleaned and bolted. He exhales loudly. You nod. He asks what happened last night. You tell him the truth. Raiders from the east. Again. The same ones from 2 years ago. They come, they take, they leave. Sometimes they burn. Sometimes not. He asks why no one stops them. You say nothing. He doesn't ask again. Historians still argue whether village raids were organized warfare or chaotic scavenging, whether they were driven by strategy or desperation. You only know the aftermath, the broken steel, the burned beams, the empty homes. You sweep the floor. Ash and slag slide into the corner. You toss it outside. It lands in a gray pile by the wall. You dump the water bucket and refill it. You finish the last piece at dusk. A door bolt, simple, strong. You test it twice. Set it down. You eat dinner alone. Your apprentice is quiet. He sits near the fire. He sharpens a tool he made weeks ago. It's dull. He doesn't know yet that the steel was poor from the start. You clean the tools, wipe the anvil, hang the hammers, check the fire. You wash your hands. The skin is rough. Soot lines the wrinkles. You scrub. It stays. You lie down. Your apprentice follows. The mat rustles as he turns. The room is silent. Outside, the wind picks up again. You think of the woman with the children. You think of the broken door hinge. You think of all the things you fixed today and all the things you can't. You sleep. You wake with soreness in your shoulders that doesn't fade. The air is dry this morning, dry and cold. Your joints ache deeper than usual. You roll your neck, stretch your fingers. They feel thick. You sit on the edge of your bed staring at your hands. The skin is dark at the knuckles. Scars overlap, some thin, some round. One still itches. Your apprentice is up. He's organizing the scrap bin. He's quiet, but steady. You nod once. He nods back. You light the forge. The coals catch on the third strike. The bellows sigh like a sleeping beast. The heat spreads slowly. Your knees hurt less when the fire is going. Today's work is steady familiar. Nails, plows, and bolts. Not glorious, not profitable, just necessary. The work no one praises, but everyone needs. You begin with nails. You cut bars into short lengths, heat them, shape them on the pointed horn of the anvil. You form the heads with 2 taps of the cross-peen. The rhythm is automatic. Tap, rotate, tap, drop, repeat. Your apprentice takes the cooled nails, bundles them with twine, 10 in each bundle. He counts aloud quietly. His lips move. He gets it wrong once. You don't say anything. After an hour, you've made 83 nails. You rest your hammer, wipe your forehead. You flex your hand. The thumb crack has reopened. You wrap it again. You keep going. A farmer arrives with a broken plowshare. He sets it near the door. You nod. He leaves. He doesn't ask how long. He knows it'll be ready when it's ready. You show your apprentice the crack right at the bolt hole. You explain how to weld over it, grind it flat, reinforce it with a backing plate. He listens, watches, then helps. You heat the blade. You hammer. You hold it in place as he strikes. The rhythm is uneven. You guide him. Soon the hammer falls clean. He sweats. You don't. The weld takes. You file it smooth. Drill a new hole. You cool it. It hisses. The room fills with steam. You move to bolts. Short shafts, square heads. You thread them by hand using the old die cutter you inherited. It binds often. You oil it. You keep going. By midday, the forge floor is covered in slag. The tools rest in neat rows. Nails stacked in wooden boxes. Plowshare cooling on the ledge. Bolts set in clay pots. You eat bread soaked in broth. Your apprentice eats beans. He winces with each bite. His teeth are bad. You give him a cloth with salt. He presses it to his jaw. Nods, thanks. You sit in silence. Outside, children shout. A dog barks. A woman scolds. A cart clatters. You barely hear it. You think of how many nails you've made in your life. Thousands. Tens of thousands. Each one pressed into a beam, a door frame, a wagon rim. Holding up things that no one ever thinks about. You remember hearing once that in ancient China, smiths who forged nails were forbidden to leave their towns too valuable to lose. You don't know if it's true. Historians still argue whether such rules were law or legend. You only know you've never left. You start shaping hinges next. Simple ones. For barn doors. The metal is thick, the bends wide. You punch holes with the drift, flatten the plates, twist the straps. You think of the barns these hinges will hold closed, the hay inside, the oxen, the tools, the quiet lives built on strong doors. Your apprentice grinds bolts. He grumbles when one slips. You hear the rasp of the file, then the hiss of the quench. You know he's doing it right. By late afternoon, the light dims. The sky clouds again. A storm might come. You work faster. You finish the hinges. Hang them to cool. You wrap the nails in cloth. You place the plowshare near the door. You wipe your hands on your apron. The stains never fade. A man arrives at dusk. He's missing 2 fingers. You've seen him before. He asks for hinges. You hand him 4. He pays in flour. You nod. He leaves. Your apprentice looks tired. You tell him to clean the tongs. He does. You sweep the floor. The dust rises. The ash coats your boots. You don't care. Dinner is a stew of beans and barley, thick, hot, filling. You eat slowly. He eats faster. You don't speak. Afterward, he sharpens his knife again. The one he made last week. It's still dull. He frowns. You tell him why. The steel is too soft. He asks how to fix it. You explain. He listens. You lie down on your bed. You pull the blanket over your chest. You feel every bump in the straw. You don't mind. Your apprentice lies down. He breathes slowly. He's asleep in minutes. You close your eyes. You think of all the things built from your work. Doors that close, roofs that hold, wagons that roll, gates that swing, and no one remembers who made the parts. But they last. You sleep. The rain starts before dawn. You hear at first a soft tapping on the roof, then a steady rhythm, then heavier. You open your eyes. The ceiling is dark. A drop falls from the roof beam, lands beside your head. You turn your face away. Your apprentice stirs. He pulls his mat tighter around him. The room is cold. The air is damp. The hearth is dark. You rise slowly. Your legs are stiff. Your toes curled from cold. You stand. Wrap your cloak over your shoulders. You strike the flint. The spark catches. The fire grows. Slowly, reluctantly. The forge fills with smoke. The chimney draws poorly on rainy days. The air gets thick. Your throat scratches. Your eyes water. You blink. You breathe slowly. You don't stop. Today, you'll make more hinges, more brackets, more hooks. Small work, repetitive, necessary. The rain drums against the shutters. You hear the wind outside. A cart passes. Hooves splash in deep puddles. You don't look. You begin with a flat bar. Heat it, bend it, punch a hole, flatten the edge. The hook takes shape. You quench it. You set it aside. You begin again. Your apprentice shapes a strap hinge. He grips the tongs too tightly. His wrist shakes. The bend is crooked. You take it from him. Heat it again. Tap it gently. Hand it back. He tries again. You make 20 hooks before midday. They hang on the rack still warm. The forge glows brighter now. The room steams. Your skin sticks to your tunic. You don't wipe it. A man arrives with a broken lamp bracket. The arm snapped. You examine it. Simple repair. You heat the joint. Hammer the break flat. Weld a new strap. Drill 2 holes. File the edges. He watches. Doesn't speak. When it's done, he nods. Leaves a loaf of bread. You nod back. You remember when you tried to make a bracket with a curled end shaped like a ram's horn? Took you 3 hours. It broke anyway. You never tried again. Your apprentice files nails. They're too long for door work. He mutters as he works. He doesn't notice you listening. You walk outside. The rain soaks your shoulders. The road is thick with mud. You see a woman hauling a barrel through the muck. Her skirt is drenched. Her face is blank. You return to the forge. You close the door. You think of the hooks. Used to hang lanterns, keys, cloaks, tools. They hold the edges of lives together. You make more. You heat a longer bar, shape a double hook, strong enough for a gate. You strike hard. The iron sings. Sparks fly. You quench it. Steam fills the room again. Your apprentice asks how to keep water from cracking the metal. You explain quench slowly. Angle the piece. Use oil for delicate work. He listens. He repeats the words back. You test the hinges he made. One squeaks. You file the pin. Add oil. Test again. It moves cleanly. You nod. He smiles. You boil a pot of lentils. Add stale bread. The steam warms your face. You eat half. He eats the rest. You sit in silence. You think of the rain, of how it soaks the road, of how it leaks into boots, of how it seeps into the grain of wooden doors and swells the hinges you made. You remember a trick heating the hinge pin slightly before installing it, expands the metal, holds tighter when cooled. You write it on a slate with chalk. You show your apprentice. He nods. You sweep the floor. The ash is damp. It clumps. You push it aside with your boot. Outside, the sky darkens early. The clouds sink low. The wind howls louder. A shutter bangs on the tannery. No one fixes it. You light the lantern. The room glows amber. Your apprentice sharpens a chisel. You adjust a bolt. You count the hinges. You set aside the best ones for trade. You boil water. You wash your face. The heat stings your eyes. You dry with your sleeve. You lie down. The blanket smells of iron and wool. You don't mind. Your apprentice coughs once, then sleeps. You listen to the rain. You think of the woman with the barrel, the bread on the bench, the cracked pin that didn't squeak anymore. You close your eyes. You sleep. The sun returns in the morning, but the warmth does not. The sky is clear. The ground is wet. Puddles reflect pale light through the open door of the forge. You sit up slowly. Your shoulders are stiff. The air is heavy with the scent of damp earth and ash. Your apprentice is feeding the fire. He's learned to wait, to build the heat slowly, to feel the bellows resist and yield. You watch from your bed. You nod once. He sees you, says nothing. Today you teach him tempering. He's asked twice before. You told him to wait. Now the timing is right. You select a short blade from the pile, one he forged last week. It's rough, but straight. You lay it on the anvil. You explain how steel once hardened becomes brittle, like dried wood, strong but easy to snap. You must temper it, soften it, just enough. You heat the blade slowly, not glowing, just warm, until the color runs from the edge straw, then gold, then purple. You pull it at gold. You quench it in oil, not water. Water cracks thin steel. Your apprentice watches. His eyes narrow. He nods. You hand him a second blade. He tries. He overheats it, pulls it too late. The color is blue, too soft now. You tell him to start again. He does. Outside, the village stirs. The smell of damp straw mixes with coal smoke. A cart passes wheels squelching through the ruts. Children yell near the well. Inside the forge, time moves slowly. Your apprentice tempers a third blade. The color is right. The quench is clean. You test the edge. It holds. You hand it back. You remember learning this step. Your father showed you. His voice steady. His hand calloused. His temper sharp. You ruined 6 blades before you got it right. Your apprentice ruins only 2. You shape new chisels while he works. Narrow, curved, straight, beveled. You punch their sockets, file their edges. You temper them yourself. One cracks. You toss it in the scrap bin. No use blaming the steel. Some metal is born flawed. You sharpen a spade next. The blade is wide but bent. You heat it, flatten it with the sledgehammer. Your arm shakes. Your elbow pops. You stop. Breathe. Then strike again. By midday, the tools line the bench. You wipe sweat from your brow. It smears soot across your temple. You don't bother wiping it off. Your apprentice eats near the door. Bread and cheese. He offers you a piece. You take it. The cheese is sharp. It clings to your teeth. You step outside. The air smells clean. The puddles shrink in the sun. You stretch your arms. Your back tightens. You let it. You return and begin repairing a broken hoe blade. It's cracked at the neck. The weld will be delicate. You set it aside to warm. You look to your apprentice. He's practicing again, tempering short rods, watching the color, dipping in oil, wiping the smoke away. You nod. You quench the hoe blade. You test it. It holds. You tap it with a hammer. The sound is right. You start organizing your iron bars. Long, short, flat, round. You sort the scrap. You find a strip curled like ribbon. You smile faintly. You once saw a blacksmith twist scrap into bracelets. He sold them at festivals. The villagers thought they were lucky. You tried once. No one bought yours. You toss the ribbon into the bin. Your apprentice asks about his knife again, the one from last week. He says it chips too easily. You examine it. The edge is too thin. You say so. He looks down. You tell him to reforge it. He sighs, but nods. You hand him a new bar. He starts again. You sharpen your chisels. Test their bite on scrap wood. They cut clean. You wrap them in cloth. Store them in the cabinet. You clean the hearth. Scrape ash into the pan. Dump it outside. The breeze catches it. The dust rises, then settles. You sit for a moment. Your knees ache. You massage your wrists. The skin is dry. You reach for the ash oil. Rub it into your hands. The smell is sharp but familiar. The door creaks open. A boy stands there, thin, barefoot, holding a pot lid. The handle has snapped. You take it. He leaves. You forge a new handle from thin rod. Curve it. Flatten the ends. Rivet it to the lid. It takes 10 minutes. You set it aside. Your apprentice still hammers. His rhythm is better now, steady, focused. You remember an old saying. A blade remembers the hands that forged it. You don't know where it came from. maybe your father, maybe a traveler. Historians still argue whether tools had symbolic value in peasant life or were just tools. You know they were both. Your apprentice finishes his new knife. He tempers it, sharpens it, hands it to you. You test the edge. It holds. You nod. He smiles. You clean the tools, sweep the floor, close the shutters. The light fades. The forge glows red. Dinner is lentils and root mash. You eat slowly. He eats quickly. You lie down. Pull the blanket tight. The forge quiets. You think of the knife. You think of the heat. You think of the color gold. You sleep. Your apprentice wakes you before the sun rises. His voice is low urgent. He says a rider came in the night. The guard captain wants weapons. Soon. A shipment must be ready in 3 days. Spears, arrowheads, knives. No negotiation, no delay. You sit up slowly. You rub your eyes. You stretch your fingers. You've done this before. You rise, dress, light the forge. You say nothing. Your apprentice waits. The coals catch. The heat builds. You begin. War work is different, fast, repetitive, imprecise. You're not making art. You're making tools that wound, tools that break, tools that disappear. You start with arrowheads. You take narrow bar stock. Cut it into short pieces. Heat them until white. You hammer each one into a triangle. Flat, sharp. You punch the socket. Quench. Repeat. Your apprentice handles the shaping. You inspect each one. If it's too thin, you toss it. If it's too thick, you reheat it. He understands. By mid-morning, you've made 60. Your arms ache. You don't stop. Next, spears. The guards don't want long blades, just simple leaf-shaped tips, strong, replaceable. You heat thicker bars. You draw the shape. You bevel the edge. You file the point. You punch the socket. You quench in oil. You set them on the bench, line them neatly. Your apprentice cleans the sockets, adds a drop of oil to each, wraps them in cloth. You work in silence. The forge roars louder. A guard arrives near midday. He wears boiled leather, scar across his chin. He inspects the pile, says nothing, leaves a sack of iron bars, says he'll return tomorrow, wants twice as many. You say nothing. You return to work. You remember the last order like this. 3 winters ago, a border skirmish. You forged for 5 days. Your hands bled. Your ears rang. One day the guard captain stopped returning. No one explained why. You still had iron left when the snow fell. Your apprentice drops a hammer. It lands on his foot. He yells. You kneel. You check it. Not broken, just bruised. He winces. You help him up, hand him a smaller hammer. He nods. You return to knives, simple shapes, no decoration. You forge 20 before sundown. Your fingers burn. The forge floor is covered in scale. The air is heavy. The light flickers. You boil lentils. You eat in silence. You drink water. You rinse your hands in the barrel. The water turns black. You sleep lightly. The next day begins before full light. You do it again. Arrowheads first, then spears, then knives, then repeat. Your apprentice works beside you. His hands are swollen. He doesn't complain. You don't stop. You finish another 60 arrowheads, 15 spears, 12 knives. You stop to drink. You cough. The smoke clings to your tongue. A rumor reaches the forge raiders again from the hills this time. Maybe worse. No one knows. You don't ask. You keep forging. Historians still argue whether rural blacksmiths were true weaponsmiths or merely stopgaps in times of war. You don't care. You only know you're needed when someone else is afraid. You heat a spear too long. It cracks. You toss it aside. Start over. Your apprentice burns his hand again. You cool it. Wrap it. Say nothing. The third day begins without rest. You finish the final bundle by midday. The guard returns. He counts quickly. Doesn't thank you. Leaves more bars. Says nothing about payment. You nod. He leaves. You close the door. You sit. You exhale. You take your apron off. You flex your hands. They barely move. You rub them slowly. You think about the blades. You think about the hands that will hold them. You think about the blood. Then you stand. You clean the anvil. You bank the fire. You sweep the floor. You drink cold water. You eat boiled root. You lie on your bed. You don't sleep. Not right away. You wake long after sunrise. Your muscles refuse to move at first. Your eyes burn. Your palms are locked in a curled shape. You sit up slowly, flexing your fingers one by one. The joints pop. You stare at your hands. The knuckles are swollen. The calluses split. A black line of dried blood traces your right palm. Your apprentice is sitting by the fire. He's already cleaned the hearth, emptied the ash, and stacked fresh coal beside the forge. You nod at him. He doesn't speak. He's tired too. You both are. Today there are no orders, no urgent knocks, no riders, no guards. Only the quiet forge, the creak of the roof, and the sound of wind beyond the shutter. You stretch your arms slowly. Your back tightens. You stand. Barely. You begin by checking the tools. The tongs hang neatly. Each one has its own bend, its own grip. The hammers are stacked on the rack. You run your fingers across the handles. Each one has worn spots from years of use. The files lie flat on the workbench, their teeth clogged with dust. You tap them clean one by one. You sit down beside the barrel. Your legs stretch out in front of you. You roll your shoulder. The left one doesn't rotate all the way anymore. You don't force it. Today will be for recovery. You heat a small bar of iron, not for anything in particular, just to feel it again. You draw it thin, shape it into a spiral, then flatten it into a ribbon. It serves no purpose. You drop it into the scrap bin. Your apprentice watches confused. You don't explain. You ask him to oil the hinges on the door. He finds the jar. He works carefully. The hinges creak less now. You pull out a broken chisel. The tip is chipped. The handle cracked. You file the edge flat. Heat it gently. Retemper. Cool it. Fit a new handle. You wrap the grip in leather. It's better now. Your apprentice sharpens the small knife he carries, the one he forged 2 weeks ago. He checks its edge against a strip of rawhide. It cuts clean. He nods. The wind outside grows stronger. You hear shutters bang. You check the roof line. The old tar patch is still holding. You shove a wedge under the door. You remember days like this from your youth, no jobs, no customers, just slow repairs and quiet time. You used to worry on days like this. Wonder if the work would stop. It never did. You stopped worrying. You drink water from the tin cup near the hearth. It tastes faintly of iron. Everything does. You boil lentils early. Add garlic from a bunch left by the baker's wife last week. The smell fills the forge. You eat slowly. You chew carefully. Your tooth aches. One is loose. You wiggle it. It doesn't give. After lunch, you show your apprentice how to check for hairline cracks in steel. You tap the blade edge with a file. You listen. A clean ring means strength. A dull sound means weakness. You test 6 blades. One fails. You toss it into the scrap. He asks why you check every blade. You say it's easier than fixing a broken one later. You open the shutter. The wind rushes in. The smoke shifts. The air clears. You breathe in deeply. The smell of wet hay and chimney soot hits you. You don't mind. You sort the scrap next. You separate flat stock from round, short from long, bent from usable. You stack them in buckets. Each piece holds a story. Each scar shows a mistake, a lesson, or both. You clean your apron. You knock the dust loose. You scrape away the crusted bits of dried oil. It's too old to be clean, but still strong. You hang it on the peg. You sit back down. You rub your wrists. The joints creak. You stretch your fingers. Your hands shake a little. You watch them. You remember hearing once that Roman smiths carried small hammers as symbols of their trade. You never did. You don't need a symbol. The soot on your arms is enough. Historians still argue whether blacksmiths in rural villages worked alone or shared forges communally. You've never shared. You wouldn't know how. Your apprentice places a clean file beside you. He asks what tomorrow's work will be. You say whatever shows up. He nods. You sweep the floor together. The ash falls in soft piles. You toss it outside. It scatters in the wind. You oil the bellows. The leather creaks. You test the seals. They hold. You shut the shutter. You bolt the door. The light fades. You eat a second bowl of lentils. They're still warm. You tear a piece of flatbread in half. You hand him one piece. You chew the other. You sit in silence. You lie down. Your spine settles into the straw mat. Your breath slows. You think of nothing. You welcome it. You sleep. You wake stiff. Every bone feels heavier. The forge is quiet. The coals are cold. Your apprentice is still asleep, curled on his mat with his arms tucked under his head. You sit up. Swing your legs off the bed. Plant your feet on the stone floor. It's damp. You light the hearth. The flint slips twice. The third strike works. The bark catches. The coals glow. You blow gently. The fire breathes. Today, you'll make a rake. A simple thing. Wood handle. Iron tines. Ordered by a man who digs soil all day and sleeps beside his tools. He brought the handle already. You just need to add the teeth. You select a narrow strip of iron. You cut it into segments, 12 of them, short, square. You heat them slowly, one at a time. Each tine must match. You hammer the point bend, the shank punch a rivet hole. Repeat. Your apprentice wakes. He washes his face at the barrel. He dries it with a rag. He joins you at the workbench. You show him the pattern. He mimics it. His first is too short, the second too long, the third nearly right. You lay them on the bench, 12 in total. Aligned like soldiers, you fit them to the wooden frame. You drill small holes. You rivet them down one at a time. You test the grip. It holds. You place the rake beside the door. Next is a draw knife, used for shaving bark. It's harder. You start with flat bar stock. You heat curve file, then harden it. You wrap the grip with leather strips. You temper the blade with oil. It takes shape slowly. Your apprentice works on hinges. Large ones, barn size. He messes up the first strap, bends it wrong. You correct him. He nods. By midday, you've both fallen into rhythm. The forge crackles. The bellows groan. The hammers ring like dull bells. No conversation, just work. You stop briefly. You eat a slice of onion bread, dry. Crumbly. Your apprentice chews dried meat. You both drink water. It tastes of clay. You return to the workbench. Next, a spade head. The blade is wide, the neck thick. You reforge the curve, flatten the back, sharpen the edge. You quench it slowly. Steam fills the room. The fire hisses. You find your hands shaking slightly. The hammer feels heavier. You set it down more often. You flex your wrists. You roll your shoulders. Outside, the wind carries dust. You hear hooves in the distance. A cart passes. The driver calls out, but you don't catch the words. You wipe your brow. Your sleeve comes away black. Your apprentice tests his hinges. They squeak. He oils them. Tries again. They move clean. He smiles faintly. A woman stops by. She asks for iron rings. 5 of them. For a barrel lid. You nod. You say tomorrow. She hands you a candle stub. That's her payment. You accept it. You place it in the tin box with the others. You light one in the evening sometimes, just to watch the flame. You begin shaping the rings, small bar stock. You heat, bend, join the ends. You flatten them. You test the fit. You set them aside to cool. Your apprentice asks why you don't charge more. You say because people don't have more. He doesn't reply. You clean the tongs. You brush the anvil. You sharpen a chisel. You wipe the bench. You boil root mash for dinner. It's bland. You eat it. He eats it. It fills your stomachs. You sit in silence. The fire dims. You think of how much iron you've shaped in your life, how many spades, how many hinges, how many things you've made that now lie buried in soil, locked indoors, lost in carts, drowned in rivers. You wonder if any of them still exist. You wonder if it matters. You shut the shutter. The forge cools. You lie down. Your apprentice does the same. You close your eyes. You sleep without dreams. You wake with a sharp ache behind your eyes, a pressure that grows when you move. You sit still for a while, waiting for the feeling to fade. It doesn't. You rise anyway. The forge is quiet. The coals are cool. Your apprentice is already outside splitting kindling. The dull thunk of the hatchet echoes once, then again. You stretch your arms slowly. Your back cracks. You exhale. You light the fire without help. You go through the motions. Flint spark bark blow without thought. The bellows groan softly. The flames rise. The forge glows faintly. The light is enough. Today you need to finish the barrel rings. 5 in total. The woman will return in the afternoon. You've made 3 already. You heat the 4th segment. You bend it over the horn. The curve takes shape. You file the ends. Join them. You strike gently. The seam disappears. You quench it. The water hisses. You start the 5th. Your apprentice returns. His hands are raw. A splinter pierces his thumb. He pulls it out. He doesn't flinch. He joins you. You nod. He begins sharpening chisels. You hear the rasp of metal against stone. He works slowly, carefully. You finish the final ring. You set it beside the others. You oil them lightly. They shine in the forge light. You place them in a sack near the door. Next, you repair a grain scoop. The metal has separated from the handle. You heat the neck, rebend the tang. You fit it back into the wood. You rivet it with 2 small pins. It holds. You test the grip. You shake it. It stays firm. You wipe your hands. The cloth comes away black. Your apprentice asks if there's more work. You nod toward the broken nails on the bench. Bent, rusted, twisted. He knows what to do. You remember your own apprenticeship. Years of silence. Long days. No praise. Only correction. You hated it, then needed it. You repeat the same patterns now. A man stops by. He asks for a chain. Medium length. 4 feet. Thick links. You nod. He says it's for his cart. You say nothing. You select the stock. You cut lengths. You heat each one. You bend it into an oval. You weld the seam. You thread the next link. You repeat, link by link, motion by motion. The rhythm is heavy, deliberate. Your forearms tighten. You pause often. You rub your wrists. By midday, the chain is nearly done. Your apprentice works quietly. He remakes 20 nails. He wipes them. He wraps them in cloth. The woman returns. She accepts the rings. She gives you 2 bars of soap, homemade, scented faintly of rosemary. You smile. Briefly, you store them in the cabinet. A luxury. You'll save them. You eat a boiled turnip for lunch. Your apprentice eats a bit of cheese. The room is quiet. The fire hums softly. You rest your feet on a block of wood. You finish the chain by mid-afternoon. You test its strength. It holds. You coil it carefully. You set it by the door. Next, you organize the scrap pile. You sort by thickness, by length, by use. You separate the pieces with seams, cracks, scorches. You find 1 square nail you don't remember forging. You toss it into the good bin. Your apprentice sharpens the draw knife again. He scrapes a strip of bark from a branch. The edge holds. He nods. You say nothing. Outside, the sky turns orange. The wind softens. Dust drifts along the road. A child laughs far off. You wipe your brow. The sweat is cold. You remember a story a traveler once told of a blacksmith who died at his anvil hammer still raised. They buried him upright in the same pose. You didn't believe it then. Now you do. Historians still argue whether smiths held social power in medieval villages or lived lowly lives beneath notice. You've never had power, but you've always had work. You clean the tools. The hammers go on their rack. The tongs hang in pairs. You brush the anvil. You scrape the hearth. You stack the kindling. You wash your hands. The water darkens. The soap waits in the cabinet. You sit for a while watching the coals fade. You don't speak. Your apprentice oils the bellows. He tests the lever. It squeaks. He oils it again. Dinner is lentils. Again. You don't mind. You lie down. You stare at the ceiling beam. You listen to your own breath. You wonder how much longer your hands will keep their strength. You sleep. You wake to silence. No wind. No rain. No boots outside. No knocking. The forge is still. Your blanket feels heavier than usual. Your arms are numb. You sit up slowly. Let the blood return. Your apprentice is already up. He's sweeping the floor. The ash moves in smooth strokes across the stone. He doesn't look up. He knows your pace by now. You rise carefully. The stiffness in your legs travels all the way to your back. You stretch not to limber yourself, but to remind your joints where to move. You reach for your apron. The leather creaks. You light the hearth one last time. The flint strikes clean. The bark catches. The coals bloom red. The bellows hiss. The forge warms. Today there's nothing due. No orders. No visitors. No repairs. But you work anyway. You open the cabinet and take out a worn bar of iron. A remnant. You heat it. Flatten it. No plan in mind. Just motion. Your apprentice watches. He asks what you're making. You say you're not sure. He nods. Begins shaping a nail. You glance over. His grip is correct. His hammering balanced. The nail comes out clean. No bends. No flaws. He lines it with the others. You shape the bar into a long hook, too large for anything. You set it aside. You take another piece. You heat it. You bend it into a tight curve. You flatten the center. You stamp it with your mark. A small X inside a circle, barely visible. You quench it. You hang it on a nail above the door. You sit. You watch the forge. The fire glows steady. You look around. The anvil is clean. The tongs hung neatly. The scraps sorted. The nails bundled. The hinges stacked. The chain coiled. The chisels wrapped. Your apprentice oils the bench. He cleans the grinding wheel. He sharpens the last draw knife. You nod. He asks what he should make next. You tell him to decide. He selects a piece of round stock, begins shaping a hinge. You don't guide him. You rise. Slowly. You walk to the door. You push it open. The sun is low. The road is dry. A cart passes in the distance. The wheels creak. You step outside. The breeze is warm. You turn back toward the forge. The roof line is straight. The stone is solid. The shutters hang true. The hinges you made still hold. You sit on the bench by the door. You rest your hands on your knees. You stare at your palms. They're still strong, but tired. You think of everything you've built. The tools, the hinges, the plows, the spears, the nails. Each one left your hands. Each one lives elsewhere now. Some bent, some broke, some lasted longer than you thought. You think of your father's forge, long gone now. You think of your apprentice, still learning. You think of tomorrow. You know you'll wake again. You'll light the fire. You'll hammer the steel. But maybe not as fast. Maybe not as long. You lean back. The sun hits your face. You exhale. You stay there as the sky fades. The forge behind you hums softly. Your apprentice hammers once, then twice, then again. You close your eyes. You let the warmth settle. You let the noise fade. You let your breath slow. You sleep. The forge grows quiet as the night deepens. The coals dim slowly, their glow retreating into the ash. The tools are put away. The benches are clear. The air is still. Warmth lingers near the hearth, fading gently with each hour. You lie on your bed, blanket pulled to your chest. Your fingers rest on your stomach. The skin is lined, marked by time. The aches in your shoulders have dulled. The ringing in your ears has softened. The floor creaks once, then holds still. Your apprentice sleeps across the room. His breath is even. The mat rustles as he turns. The shutter sways lightly in the breeze. The latch holds. The night outside is quiet. No hooves, no shouting, no storms. The sky stretches black beyond the roof stars, hidden behind thin clouds. The wind has settled. You breathe in slowly. You breathe out slower. Each moment stretches gently into the next. The forge remains. Its stones solid. Its roof patched. Its tools hung with care. Its fire waiting for tomorrow. You built all of it, piece by piece, day by day, nail by nail. And now, as the night folds over the village and the air cools to stillness, you let your hands rest. You let your thoughts fade. You let the silence return. And with no need to rise, no task to begin, no metal to bend, you close your eyes once more and let yourself drift, far away from the fire, far away from the sound, far away from the weight, until you are still and everything is quiet.